Okay, welcome. I have a new topic that I'm sounding off on. And it's about the environment. Because what I find really interesting, and I've noticed it throughout my life, is people are claiming that they want to help the environment, yet we do the complete opposite of what we should. Um, and God's going to hold us accountable for everything that we do to his creation. The beasts that are around us, they actually are there to help judge as well. It's basically God's eyes that he has around. He can see through them, and they all have souls, even though we think that they don't. But in Adam and Eve's time, they were able to speak. Adam and Eve lived in the garden for, I think, 7 years, or a little over 7 years before the devil was allowed to go after them. And Adam named all the critters of the world. But what I find really interesting is we claim we want to recycle, but we don't recycle, and the things that we do recycle, we don't clean worth of crap, and then they have to trash it. If there's any type of food residue in your cans or in your stuff, they immediately trash it. That's why China stopped taking our stuff, because there's so much crap in our cans and in our bottles and everything else, and because people are too stinking lazy. I work at a park, and what I see are people that can't go from, I'm seeing trash in lavatories like this, and there's a flipping trash can right there. Um, I see people doing the complete opposite of using less. I see a lot of one use stuff. And if you want to save the environment, then you've got to learn how to wash dishes. When I was a kid and we went camping, we had silverware. We had plates that were reusable. And nowadays it's like, oh, well, I can't mess with that. It just makes too much effort and whatever. I mean, instead of actually cleaning up stuff and taking care of it, we trash the crap out of it. I mean, I see cigarette butts on the ground. I see all kinds of other things. And then you have down here, I mean, there's a lake, and there's all kinds of flipping harmful crap going into it because people are trying to skirt the law and trying to do the wrong thing, which makes this lake very harmful to anything that enters it and anything that comes out of it. There's a blue-green outbreak on this lake because the nutrient loads are coming in. And also, there, if you want to be environmentally aware, those lakes that have no vegetation near the shoreline, that's not the way to go. This is more natural. You can see how there's grass and everything on the shoreline. You can see how in all this vegetation, what this vegetation does is it stops the flow. So if you have a flood or erosion problem, the vegetation will stop it, and it won't go into the water body. Or it will go into water body. But in wetlands also, they clean everything that goes through it to a point. But right now there's so much garbage going in that it's unbelievable. Um, you can also, instead of planting grass, centipede is not native. Bahia and Zizoisia and all these others are not native grasses. The native grasses are like, okay, so you see these grasses here. Those are native grasses. There's like blue gamma, and there's rice grass, and there's broom sedge, and a whole lot of others. And these are natural. But the problem is everyone wants a cultivated yard. But we can do things right now that would stop. We can use less electricity by turning off items. You don't need lights on constantly. You can turn off the AC. You can during the summer months, and you can turn down the heater in the winter months. People back then lived with fire stoves, and they just use fireplaces in order to heat their homes, and that's a lot better, easier way. Well, no, there, but you will also have to get the creosote and stuff out of the chimney. um, but in the Bible, God uses beasts against mankind. God uses beasts to do his duty. The people that are getting attacked are the ones that are under judgment. The beasts are about to be used in a heavy way, and that's what I was shown last night as I was writing the end time stuff, and I'm about to be greatly used by God himself. Um, but beasts are going to be used, and beasts aren't like the big nasty critters that you see. They're like the fluke worms and the tapeworms and the roundworms and mosquitoes and other things that are basically going out of control, or not out of control. It's not out of God's hands. But these critters are going to be used to judge the world. Only God's chosen people will be saved from this. And it actually in the Bible and in the Apocrypha it says that you won't be hurt by serpent venom and that type of thing, and you'll be able to handle them. It is in the Bible. But I mean, who was it? Paul that got bit by a serpent and he shook him off and threw him out. But we need to stop killing critters. There are better, easier ways to take care of critters. What's sad is I've heard people around here shoot everything, from hawks to eagles to raccoons to everything under the sun, because they see them in their yard and they're like, oh, what? And then they try to put two and two together when two and two don't make what they think is happening. But because they were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, they shoot them. So people are majorly detached from their environment. They're basically taking the word of people. What I'm seeing is there's a lot of friends basically saying, hey, this is how I do it, and this is worked for me, and they don't realize that what they're doing is wrong. So yeah, I had to get on here and do this. But if you want to save the environment, there is not global. Well, I mean, the Earth is naturally warming. The flood hit and it caused everything to cool over, and so you're coming from the flood to the regular life of the world. In the regular life, there's very little ice anywhere. So that's kind of like the normal cycle of this world. And actually, we've only been here a little. I mean, it's approaching 6,000 years. The so-called climate crisis is nothing more than God's judgment, and they are going to majorly increase. These floods and disasters are all over. These hurricanes, they are all God's judgment. They are all coming down because people do not turn to God. And also, as a side note, what I see in the Bible is you have one person leading a group of people, and when that one person leaves, then they all go back to their sinful natures. So God sends another person, and then that person dies, and they go right back. So we have a natural inclination to go to our sinful life. There's a lot of people that are choosing this world over God. I wouldn't say. I know that people, I would say the vast majority are choosing this world. If you choose video games over God, or movies or TV or entertainment or sports or whatever over God, then you've chosen the world. If you choose to, I don't know, not listen to people like me, then that's on you. But this world, everything around that was created in this world, these plants and everything else that are in this world, were created for us to use, but not abuse. We have basically altered our world, and what we're doing is we're clear cutting everything and then putting in what we deem acceptable in those areas. And what we deem acceptable are these. And what I find insane is the nurseries are selling these highly exotic, highly invasive plants that are absolutely destroying the wilderness, and yet we're having them. Like hydrilla is one of them, water lettuce, hydrangea, or not hydrangea, water hyacinth. We are selling all. I mean, just it's nuts. But yet here are nurseries selling it. Like purple loosestrife is another. But I mean, centipede is from the Far East, yet we're planting it in our yards like it was crazy. So thank you for joining me. But yeah, the world as you know it is not what you think. So thank you for joining me. I wish you the best. But sorry about that. Take care. God bless.